The family of Kate Steinle filed a federal lawsuit against San Francisco's former sheriff and two federal agencies, including U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Steinle, of course, was shot on a San Francisco pier last July while walking with her father. The man accused of killing her, an undocumented immigrant with 7 felony convictions who had been deported 5 times to Mexico. The shooting happened just weeks after Donald Trump entered the presidential race, quickly became part of the heated debate over immigration policy. The lawsuit that the Steinles filed takes aim at San Francisco's so-called sanctuary policy, which limits local law enforcement cooperation with federal immigration authorities. The upshot is when local authorities release an undocumented immigrant from jail, immigration agents aren't told. Hundreds of cities have similar sanctuary policies, including Chicago, where Pamela Brown went on an exclusive ride along with an ICE team. Here's what she saw.
Radio check.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago,
TAC 1, guys.
An immigration and customs enforcement team gears up another long day.
Copy.
Pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S.
We got 3 targets this morning.
Team Supervisor Sean Byers.
First 2, aggravated felons, drug trafficking. Each of them served at least 10 years in prison. The third one, there's possible guns in the situation, so we got to make sure that we're prepared for that as well. All right, let's roll, guys.
The undocumented convicts they're going after were all released from Cook County Jail without immigration officials being notified.
Your adrenaline blood pressure, of course, goes up when you're getting ready to do something like this. Bravo team in the neighborhood.
The first target?
Him in white?
A convicted cocaine dealer from Mexico who was arrested again, convicted of DUI, and released on probation.
This individual we could have already had from local authorities when he was arrested recently, which would have saved taxpayers a whole lot of dollars.
It turns out this is the target's brother. He's committed no crime and he's released. ICE officials say mistakes like this are made and endless man hours wasted trying to find people they could have picked up at the local jail, were it not for a Cook County law prohibiting local police and jail officials from even notifying ICE before releasing an undocumented criminal back onto the streets.
If we were able to arrest them while they're incarcerated in another law enforcement agency such as Cook County where they've been positively identified, it would be a much safer situation. Next target.
A Mexican national who did 10 years in prison for dealing heroin in the U.S.
He was recently arrested for driving under the influence, and he's also been currently using a U.S. citizen's identity to be able to work and have a driver's license and everything else.
And ICE has had interaction with him before, right?
Yes, we previously removed him at least once from the United States before, so he's been arrested, removed, and came back.
Cook County and Chicago are among the more than 300 so-called sanctuary jurisdictions across the country, including Miami, New York City, and Los Angeles.
I came to Chicago as an immigrant, 9 years of age.
Commissioner Chuy Garcia spearheaded the 4-year-old law in Cook County.
The reason that we came up with a policy in Cook County for dealing with ICE detainers was because people were being stopped, arrested for minor infractions.
Garcia says the law prevents the deportation of innocent people, even though that means convicted criminals in the U.S. illegally are set free.
Why do these people belong in your community?
I'm not saying they belong in my community. What I'm saying is that the overwhelming majority of immigrants are law-abiding, hardworking individuals making contributions to our country and our society.
As the sun rises on Chicago, the risk for the team ramps up.
The whole tempo of everything gets escalated.
Ma'am, can you open the doors to police?
There's a lot of risks when we're having to do this out in the street like this. You always have risk to ourselves, the officers, risk to the innocent bystanders.
The team finds its third target, working at this auto shop on the north side of Chicago. A twice-deported felon with 2 DUI convictions, according to ICE.
Any weapons on you?
Then, agents realize his brother is also there.
So why are you checking the brother?
Based on preliminary, it looks like he's also illegal. So we're just going to verify with some of the new technology.
They use a new mobile fingerprint scanner on the brother to see if he's ever been stopped by immigration officials before.
Yeah, it's a hit.
And just then, an agent takes off as a third person runs out the back door. They catch him seconds later.
So if there's a hit with the biometric testing, he'll be brought into the processing center to see if there's a criminal history?
Yeah, we'll bring him in and go from there.
As the man's frightened wife watches, he admits he is in the U.S. illegally, But a quick check shows he has never had any interactions with federal officials before, so ICE lets him go.
Good luck to you, man.
Relieved, the man explains why he ran.
I was afraid.
Why?
I don't know. It's just how it is. I mean, sometimes they just take you and they don't care whatever they do. But this time, I mean, I guess I'm not one of those.
He's just one of 3 undocumented immigrants ICE let go during our ride-along, because even though they came to the U.S. illegally, they don't have criminal records, part of President Obama's initiative to focus on deporting convicted criminals, those considered a threat to public safety, and anyone caught crossing the border illegally after January 2014, including women and children. Head of Homeland Security, Secretary Jay Johnson, says that with nearly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. right now, ICE has to prioritize who it goes after.
We're not interested in rounding up people who have been in this country for years, who have become integrated members of society, and who commit minor offenses and then are released a couple of days later. We're interested in the worst of the worst and not releasing them to the streets.
Commissioner Garcia doesn't buy it.
When we were with ICE during the ride-along, they detained a couple undocumented immigrants who they then released because they didn't have criminal records.
I wish you could go on every ride that they take. That's not what happens in many, many cases.
We release on a daily basis, sometimes 2 to 3 times what we actually arrest.
All right, sir.
The team made 4 arrests this day. The one they couldn't find, a convicted child molester who's already been deported once before.
It's very disconcerting that we can't arrest that individual today. That's why we're going to keep trying to get them. Every chance we get, we're going to try to get them. Our job's never done.
Convicted child molester already deported once. Pamela Brown joins us now. How does ICE know to pursue these undocumented convicts in the first place if they're not being notified about their release?
Well, Anderson, ICE finds out when an undocumented criminal is arrested because its database gets pinged. But the problem is here in jurisdictions like Cook County, the notification ends there. And so ICE agents have to track public records to try to figure out when an undocumented criminal is going to be released. And sometimes they tell us that they don't find out until well after that person is out, already on the streets. And then they say it's a real challenge trying to find them. I should note, though, Anderson, that there are some sanctuary cities across the U.S. that have started to at least notify ICE when an undocumented criminal is going to be released. Tomorrow night, in a part 2 of our exclusive series, we actually speak to one of the men arrested by ICE in his federal holding cell, and we sit down with the Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson about how so many of these undocumented criminals sneak right back into the U.S. after being deported, and what he's doing to stop that. Anderson.
All right, Pamela, that's tomorrow night. We'll have that on 360. Thanks so much. We'll look forward to that. We'll be right back.